a lot of people might think if you're farther in crypto, if you're deeper down the rabbit hole, that you missed the boat on Solana in the big rally to come back, to storm back from $9 to break 100 in 2023. But you and I were chatting, and you say it's definitely we're still early on Solana. And then I look at your price call, 500 to 600 in 2024. So maybe it is really that early. Talk to me about how you look at Solana in 2024 and why it's still potentially a good opportunity for people.
Yeah, so I think this, if we're talking about the construction of this price target, this kind of would put us, assuming that our call on Bitcoin is correct, this range kind of puts us pretty close to the Sol BTC high from the last cycle, and also maps pretty closely to the change in all-time highs between the first and second cycle for ETH. And so, there's some, fractal implications there. But that's kind of how we coalesced around this 500 to 600 range. And look, I think the reason Solana, was we were so constructive on it. Well, first off, we spend a lot of time in that ecosystem just around devs and builders in the space, and so you just got a more granular understanding of the mission and kind of the developments there, beyond price, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an ecosystem we like because it's different from the other two, right? It's a smart contract platform, but it's they're building in a completely different model than some other L1s, right? And they have a very very concise, very pointed mission statement, right? Consensus at the speed of light.
Yeah.
And there's this jockeying for the third, quote unquote, third best, right? Within the crypto industry. And to us, we see Solana as filling that hole and becoming that, third asset in every, in the traditional and the standard crypto portfolio.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned kind of the idea of where that enthusiasm's coming from, because I definitely look back at kind of the SBF and FTX attachment to Solana and why I think it was so dented and why it collapsed around that, because not only was the connection there, but also FTX had a good number of Solana tokens that people were afraid might get dumped on the market, and that narrative's now gone. And I think beyond it, when we've chatted with Anatoly about what's happening within the community, Fire Dancer, I'm glad you put that in the report, because that was one of the first things we ever covered on Coinage, was the idea of the network itself getting stronger as they build that piece out, which is crucial. But you also highlight here too the idea of stablecoins coming on, and that enthusiastic piece and push as money just simply becomes easier to operate with on Solana. And I feel like it's another piece that is overlooked when people talk about what's going to catch steam, is just the ability for huge money players, traditional finance players, to inject cash, legitimately stablecoins, into an ecosystem. And that seems to be a big theme that you highlight here beyond price targets to watch when it comes to Solana in 2024.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've seen we've seen Visa come out and say that they're running sandbox experiments on Solana. And that's another reason why we're super constructive on that ecosystem. And I think there's just a whole new cohort of users that have been introduced to crypto via the Solana network, and we'll kind of go there by default instead of going to ETH or ETH2. And so one of our predictions, and these are kind of less price focused. As a lot of people in the space know, USDT on Tron is a preferred stable in a lot of the global South. I think we'll see a move towards having USDC on Solana eat into some of that market share in terms of being used as this payment rail and store of value in these communities where there's hyperinflation or wherever USDT on Tron is now used.